And welcome back now. Our KPRC2 Community Spotlight for the month of March focuses on David's Legacy Foundation.
David was only 16 years old when he ended his life after being the victim of relentless cyberbullying. David's mother, Maurine, is joining us now from San Antonio this morning, where she is driving change in his memory. Maurine, thank you so much for sharing your story and David's story and for being here with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Maurine, tell us about David and his story.
David was he was a great kid. He was a basketball player. He loved fantasy football and video games. And he actually we know that he played video games too much, and it really caused a problem with him. And he was 16 years old when we lost him to suicide. And that was 8 years ago. And since then, we've really been trying to put tools and help families that are going through what we were going through to make sure that no one else has to walk in our same shoes.
And Mo, some of the changes, David's Law for one, and then David's Legacy Foundation. Can you tell us about the law and then some of the work that the foundation does?
So shortly after David died, the first thing that we knew that we wanted to do was we needed to pass a law that would give parents and schools and law enforcement the tools that they were lacking to be able to address cyberbullying in a way that was really going to be able to help the victim and their family. And so David's Law, it was a comprehensive bill that affected the education code, the civil code, and the criminal code, the harassment code. And so we have, since then, since we've passed David's Law, it's provided an opportunity for us to get into the schools and give student presentations and talk to educators and learn more about what the schools are needing to be able to address these issues on an individual level. And we've also been able to start some pro bono legal programs to help families using the civil side of David's Law.
Maurine, if a parent feels that their child is dealing with this at school, how can advocate for them with the school?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we always tell parents the first thing that we want you to do is to try to work peaceably with your school, because that's really what the child that is the target in this situation really wants, is they want to be able to walk those school halls in peace. And so if we can work on communication, and so we'll help a parent understand what a school district's responsibilities are in these situations and help them and guide them on how to advocate and maybe work their way up the chain of command. And, we're hoping that it never has to go into the grievance process, but we can help a family navigate through that with some tools on how to be able to address that.
Now, Mo, we know schools can only do so much legally. I mean, just in terms of the number of teachers versus the number of students, that's difficult. What happens and what's a family to do when bullying kicks it up a notch to that level where the school can't really help? Now we're bringing in legal issues, whether it's police and the court system. What do we do at that point?
Right. So, we'll tell parents if you ever feel like a crime is committed, then reach out to law enforcement. And, even if they're not going to, file, any kind of a report about it, that the parent can actually request that there is a documentation there. So in case anything ever happens in the future, they will be able to have that record there. And then they can always reach out to us at David's Legacy Foundation, and we have a program called the Don't Bully Me program, where we can connect parents who are trying to navigate through a cyberbullying situation with an attorney that can guide them through what legal action is available to them in this particular situation. And if it rises to a very serious level where an attorney can get involved, they can send a cease and desist letter. And about 95% of the time, we have found that avenue has really worked very well in these situations. And if the other 5% needs to actually go to court, then they can help with the injunction and get the restraining order that they need to in that particular case, and then file what we call a permanent injunction, which really lasts until they graduate from high school.
Maureen, what are some of the signs, would you say, that a parent should really pay attention to and listen to if they even have just an idea that their child is going through this?
You're going to know better than anyone if your child is not coping well with something. If you see them using their device more frequently or even less frequently, do they seem distressed when they're picking up their phone? Are they not sleeping well or not eating well? Are they afraid to go to school? Like any of those signs can be a sign of mental health distress, but also a sign of cyberbullying. And you can ask them the question, if there's something going on at school that's keeping them from wanting to go to school. And I'll, always reach out to your pediatrician. If most of us aren't trained to be able to identify any kind of mental health disorder, but we do know when our child is not coping well. And a pediatrician is a great first line of defense to help you be able to navigate through that to determine if your child needs to seek therapy or other psychological help outside of that.
Okay, Mo, before you go, what can parents do if they want to get involved? Maybe they need help from David's Legacy Foundation, or maybe they want to support the foundation.
Yeah, so we would just welcome parents to reach out to their school and ask their school what their committee is to be able to address bullying and cyberbullying, and ask if they can volunteer to be on that committee, and then bring us in to be able to train that committee and to talk about what's happening on your school campus, and kind of look at the surveys that are coming in and be able to determine what the best course of action is for their school district. And then we also enjoy parents to reach out to us at David's Legacy Foundation and join us in our efforts to pass federal legislation that will keep kids safe from cyberbullying.
Yeah. We got to get them off social media too. They shouldn't even be allowed on. I can't believe these companies allow this. They don't have an incentive yet.
We need the social media companies to have some responsibility there as well.
We're going to go after them next, Mo. Thanks for your time today.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
And you can learn more about David's Legacy Foundation and find anti-bullying resources online at clicktohouston.com/community.